So if you're new to the stream and you're not sure how this works, what I do is every week I send out a question to everyone on my email list. What is your biggest struggle on your spiritual awakening journey? And those that respond, I answer and address their responses on the live stream every Wednesday at 11 a.m. So if you are not on my email list, you can very easily get on it by checking the description for the guided meditation on abundance. It's about 24 minutes long. And if you're having issues with abundance, this guided meditation will definitely help you. But essentially, you just put in your email, you get the guided meditation for abundance, and we become email besties. And then you will receive the weekly question: what is your biggest struggle on your spiritual awakening journey? And get a chance to be featured in the live stream. Now, if I don't get to your comment from the email, it's either that I haven't gotten to it yet, so be patient, or your response is pretty much asking the same question as 3 or 4 other emails, so I can just kind of knock out all of those in one. So if you haven't had your comment answered, just keep watching. I may answer your comment through someone else's comment. Oh my God, love. Hey, how's it going? Luke Kaiser. I think Luke Kaiser is actually on the list today to have her comment answered, I believe. I've got 4 of them here. And so basically, once I address all of the comments from the emails, I'll shoot back and get your all's questions in the comments. Let's see here. So we've got some questions coming in already. So I will, I'll circle back around and get the questions in the comments after I address the questions from the emails. Let's see here. Well, actually, we probably should just jump right on in, because people that are watching this on the replay, I think TikTok has made the collective's attention span like this, the span of a millisecond. So people will click away pretty quickly. Let's jump into the first one, get the show rolling here. Maxine Solomon. What does Maxine Solomon have to say? David, I've been healing for years. Seems like once one thing is healed, it brings up something else that needs to be healed. Is healing a vicious cycle, or is there a finish line? All right. So this is actually something that I see quite a bit of in the spiritual community, is this concept that you need to constantly be healing. The universe loves balance. And energy flows where attention goes. So if you are identifying as healing, and you're following everything on social media that has to do with healing, you're following hashtag healing journey, and you're watching everything that has to do with healing, you're identifying as healing. Now, we know that the ego is in charge of survival of the perceived identity, to be more specific. So when the ego feels that it needs to protect that identity of healing, and anything that is outside of that identity, the ego has a tendency to throw you into fight or flight. You don't always. So this is a very unhealthy loop. It's the ego seeking, some type of perfectionism by constantly looking for things to heal. So it's kind of like this goal-oriented motive for healing, so that you no longer face negative emotions. I don't know what. So you eventually become enlightened. You start to levitate. You're so enlightened, you have nothing left to heal. That's not really how it works. So You have probably one dominant archetype of unhealed trauma. That could be abandonment trauma, that could be self-worth trauma, self-love trauma, codependency trauma, whatever that dominant trauma is. You can do enough work on that trauma to become functional, right? And then that next level up from being functional would be there's no more emotional charge around that subject. In other words, it's no longer a trigger. Functional basically means you don't have unhealed trauma forcing you into irrational behaviors, because of that trauma making you believe that you're in some type of a survival fight or flight situation. So once it's functional, and then there's no more emotional charge around that particular subject, whatever that dominant archetype is, um, you've done enough healing on that particular subject to where you don't have to linger. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want to just stay stuck in this identity as healing, healing, healing. You're going to know, and you can just do a simple check in on how you're feeling. Am I still people pleasing? Am I chasing validation? Am I letting people walk all over my boundaries? Well, no, I feel pretty good. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of inspiration and authenticity in my heart that I want to express to the world. Oh, that's a different energy. That's a shift in focus from inward to outward. That's a great sign that you've healed or healed enough that you are functional. There's no emotional charge around that. Just look at so if you have a history of an anxious attachment style, right? Well, if you're not attaching anxiously, trying to over control and over analyze and over nitpick other people, if that's no longer your situation, you've healed that. Or if you are no longer trauma bonding, right? I got to grab onto this person so that I'm not abandoned, so that I don't feel abandoned. Well, if you're not doing that anymore and you're actually looking at the person and saying, oh, there's some red flags. Okay, this person is kind of passive aggressive. Oh, that was kind of manipulative. Okay, that's no longer a vibrational match. Bye. And there's no anxious attachment style. Well, you've probably healed that portion of yourself and you're good. You don't need to keep lingering in that spot. The the ulterior motive of the universe is expansion. So when you stay stuck in this, I've got to be healing constantly, you're ignoring the energy. Follow the energy. If the energy has shifted from inward to outward to more of expression, remember, fear is that barrier to expression. Well, if you no longer hold any fear to express, then unhealed trauma is in alignment with fear. So that means that that unhealed trauma must be healed enough that there's no fear of expression anymore. Well, follow the energy. The energy says outward. It says express. It says expand. And you can stop lingering in the um, healing mode. So, um, there's constantly needing to heal. Kind of sounds a lot like I don't want to face any negative emotions. And we got to stop vilifying emotions just because our ego finds them uncomfortable, right? Um, all emotions are valid. It's just a barometer to tell you where you're in alignment with fear and out of alignment with the dominant frequency of source, which is love. You are source having a physical experience. That's your true essence. You incarnated to heal through all of the things that keeps you out of alignment with that dominant frequency and in alignment with fear. So if you look at those negative things not as something that's negative, but an opportunity for you to get in alignment with your source self, to get in alignment with the divine, to get in alignment with love, basically, then, you know, we can take kind of the negative stigma away from, negative emotions. Um, we don't want to fall into that, kind of toxic positivity where, only if you're walking on clouds and levitating are you spiritual, and anything else is not spiritual. We got it. This is false light teachings. Remember, you came from the non-physical into the physical for spiritual evolution. You incarnated to heal through all of the things that makes you believe you're not eternal, you're not complete, whole, and perfect. So that makes the 3D in and of itself a spiritual experience because it's for your spiritual evolution. So let's not, we love to compartmentalize things as spiritual because it feels good, and things that are uncomfortable. Oh, that's not spiritual. That's 3D. No, that's exactly the reason you incarnated for the contrast, which is for your spiritual evolution. The 3D, the negative, the uncomfortable is a part of the journey. So when you ask that question, is there a finish line? The finish line is not to never feel negative emotions ever again. The negative emotions are just a barometer for where you may be in alignment with love and out of alignment with your source self, out of alignment with love. I don't think that there really is a finish line because there's not really a finish line in spirituality. I mean, I guess the finish line would be to be enlightened. I there's so much baggage with that word enlightened, and it's so cliche. I hate to use it. Well, I guess the finish line actually would be to be an ascended master. I don't know who's actually pulled that off since Jesus. Well, actually, Saint Germain. Yeah, Saint Germain, I think, was the last ascended master, but that was like in the 1800s. So, this kind of goes back to what I was talking about last week, where I was saying I watched a thing where Sadhguru was saying there's two types of people in spirituality. There's the type that just want something functional that they can just kind of put a red ribbon on as far as how the universe works, and so they can sleep easy at night so that they can focus on what they prioritize, whether it be family or career or traveling or whatever it is. And how the universe works, well, it's good enough, it's functional, right? We got a little red bow on that, we can sleep easy at night. And then there are the seekers. These are the ones that really want to take it to the next level and become an active co-creator of reality. These are the magicians of the world. These are the seekers. Those are the ones that are actually seeking, this, enlightenment, even though I don't like to use that word. So you just, as far as healing, because I'm getting off point here, your healing can be functional. It doesn't necessarily have to be to the point to where you're levitating with white light coming out of your ears, right? If it's done the job, it's the whole point of healing is to get you out of alignment with fear. If you're in a phase where you're wanting to now express what is in your heart, then that means there's no barrier to expression, which means the fear has subsided enough that you can be functional. If your behavior has changed, you're no longer doing the things that fall under that particular healing or that trauma archetype. You're no longer chasing the validation or people pleasing or letting people walk all over your boundaries. Then you've healed enough to where you're functional and you can follow the energy, because now the energy is saying outward expression, expansion. The universe loves balance. Don't just identify as healing and stay stuck on one thing. And one of the ways that you can change your identity is follow different hashtags. What is your new passion? What is your new life purpose? And then follow those accounts. Because see, because the identity is more of a self-perceived concept, and it's not a dense physical matter like the physical body, which is slower to move because matter is denser, tightly packed energy, which is a bit slower moving. But a concept is like your energy body. It's light. It can change at a moment's notice. So energy flows where attention goes. Follow those accounts that are in alignment with what you want to do with your life, maybe your life purpose. And then that identity begins to change. The universe is always going to mirror back to you your self-perceived identity. So that's a way that you can kind of do that and make sure that you're not over focusing or lingering on the healing path, and don't necessarily identify as healing if you've done the healing. Does that help, Maxine? Are you in the comments? Wow, we got all kinds of new faces here. Hey, Yoka, there she is. Hey, Yoka. I think I have one of your comments to reply to today, so stay tuned for that. Suzanne's got that anxious attachment style. It's not a threat to your survival if you let it go, Suzanne. And you can show your ego that it's not a threat to survival. Let it go, and then stop and say, "I'm still alive. I didn't die." Let's see. Christine, right? Hey, Light Fam, there are more of us here than likes so far. Let's all hit the like button. I appreciate you, Christine, right? Sending love and light to Christine Wright. Sending love and light to Christine Wright. Let's see here. We got, oh my God, love. We got Heyoka, Redaxiana. I will be a seeker one day. One day. There is no one day. There's only the present. Identify as a seeker now, and it will be done unto you. Abilene. Hey, Abilene. Love your channel. Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Welcome. I haven't seen you before. Give Abilene a Light Fam welcome, guys. Crystal. Hey, Crystal. She made it. Good seeing you. Max Life. Hey, I haven't seen you in my comments in a while, Max Life. You've been sleeping on the Light Fam? Great seeing you. Wow. Made my first live. Namaste, David. This is awesome. I appreciate you, Max. Great to have you, my friend. Hey, Crystal. Abilene's first live as well. No, let's put Katrina on the thing here. Namaste the heck out of that subscribe button. Oh, hey, Coley, what is up, brother? Great seeing you, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. Let me see. I think I made up some little banners here. Oh, I have a PSA. Be kind to your fellow human. Your fellow human is also source. Be kind out there, guys. What are some of these other things here? Yes. If you guys are not aware, check the description for the 5-week online course. It's the same curriculum as working with me one-on-one, just in an online digital course on your time. Week 1 is how to meditate. Week 2 is self-love healing. Week 3 is self-worth healing. Week 4 is shadow work. And week 5 is inner child healing. Heal those 5 things, everything else falls into place. If you want to work with me one-on-one, you can text the number on the screen for a quick discovery call if you are in the US or Canada. Anywhere else in the world, just click the description. There's something that says coaching options, and we will schedule a quick discovery call. And that is all for the self-promotion. Let me keep the show rolling and get on to the next thing here. Okay, what are we looking at? My struggle is that I've been in the dark night of the soul for 9 years, waiting for my twin to leave his karmic wife. Oh boy. But I guess everything in divine timing. I don't know anymore. Nicole Egley. Okay, Light Fam. Well, there's quite a bit to unpack with this. So first of all, I'll say that it breaks my heart to see someone wait practically a decade or any amount of time for some event to happen that they can't control, that they wager their happiness on. I'm only going to be happy if this happens. I'm only going to be happy if this event occurs. I'm only going to be complete if this event occurs. I am pretty sure. Now, I don't know why you incarnated. Only your higher self knows that. But I am willing to bet that you did not incarnate to wait. Life is not a spectator sport. You literally just lit 9 years of your life on fire for no reason. This is craziness. Don't do that. Your life is so precious and so valuable. It's and I don't even believe in sin. Sin is a man-made concept, but I have to say it's a sin to light 9 years of your life on fire and not live in the moment, live in the wonderment, live in the miracle, live in the joy of life that you decided to incarnate into. If we have to look at the silver lining, try to take the lesson from waiting. And that lesson would be life is meant to be lived now. It goes way too fast, way too fast. Anything can happen tomorrow. The lesson is to find your worth so that you believe you're worthy of living a good life now, regardless of what happens with some other person. That's the lesson. This is craziness. You've got to live your life now. Being stuck in the dark night of the soul, the dark night of the soul lets go of you when you let go of what is no longer serving. And we usually don't let go of what's no longer serving because we believe that it's a threat to survival. So in your case, I'm assuming that you believe letting go of your twin is a threat to survival, which is keeping you in the dark night of the soul. I can assure you, your transformation into your greatest version, your potential is way bigger than the twin flame relationship. So, this is the problem with watching these cult like twin flame channels and tarot. They keep you obsessed over this other person, and they never have you focus on why you're obsessed with this other person. The reason you're obsessed with this other person is you have unhealed trauma that is seeking validation from that twin. And as long as you're binging twin flame and tarot, you're focused on the the effect. You're not focused on the cause. And karmic. So the twin flame cult channels, they have their own vernacular that keep you indoctrinated into the cult. If you can't say together and not together, and you insist upon saying union, non-union, we're not in union, union, union. If you can't say wife or girlfriend and you insist upon saying karmic, you are indoctrinated into the twin flame cult. And that keeps you locked into that vicious cycle of codependency and disempowerment and obsession. And that obsession is a chemical addiction for the body because those chemicals are released. Your brain releases those chemicals that your body gets addicted to every time you're obsessing over the tarot. Do the cards say he's coming back? Is he leaving his karmic wife? One of the things about the twin flame cult channels is they perpetuate this concept that you're the real true love of your twin and you're so special, and this other person is temporary and unimportant. So we've got to discredit this other person by giving them kind of a derogatory term, karmic. And we got to put them in a temporary box. Oh, they've got to pay off some past life stuff that they didn't finish in a past. You don't know that. These massive twin flame channels that are telling you, oh, they didn't finish some business in a past life, and they got to finish it in this. But as soon as they finish it, they're coming. You don't know crap about their lives, about their past lives, about any soul contracts or nothing. Shut up. Stop putting that crap out there because you're keeping people disempowered and obsessed over some other person and discrediting the other person that they're with, which is just candy for the ego. It's a self-soothing mechanism for the ego to handle rejection. Okay. And it bypasses the person from looking at what may have made their twin flame run. Do you have an anxious attachment style? Were you over controlling? Were you nitpicking? Were you breaking his balls? Were you trying to control him? Yeah, he ran. Not because he had some past life stuff to finish. No, because you chased him away. Now, that may not be the case, but if you're not at least looking at that, then you never have the ability to change within. If you're constantly pointing the finger, oh, it's this karmic. Maybe it's not a karmic. Maybe it's a damn soulmate. You ever think of that? Maybe it's someone that he can just be himself with and not have his balls broken every 2 freaking seconds. Or maybe it's someone that is not like has this like anxious attachment type of style to soothe their abandonment trauma. I mean, there's a plethora of reasons why he's no longer in your life. But if you're always discrediting this other person and putting that whole situation on this temporary thing that he's going to come back to his true love, you're never looking at the reason he actually showed up in the first place was to get you to heal that abandonment trauma, to heal that people pleasing, to heal that approval chasing, to heal that codependency trauma, because that's the trauma that's keeping you from living the reason you decided to incarnate, from being your greatest version, which is way bigger than the relationship. So it's just, I have to step up and tell it like it is. This is insane. Do not put your life on hold for anyone, twin or anyone. You are divine. You are more valuable than you could ever comprehend from your human mind. Your life is valuable. Every freaking second is a miracle and a wonder. Live it now. You don't put it off for some person who doesn't even value you. He's married with a family. Okay. He does not have you on the same level that you have him. Take him off of the pedestal. It's not about him. It's about you. It's about you becoming your greatest version and healing what is keeping you from being self-validating, self-approving, happy. Happiness is an inside job. Happiness is your responsibility, not his. Okay. Anytime you put your happiness on someone else, you're always going to be disappointed and miserable. Your happiness is your responsibility. Stop putting your life on hold for something that you can't control and for someone else that clearly doesn't have you as high as he has his wife. Stop that. Stop. you know, and I just have to tell you from a man's perspective, if he really wanted you, there's nothing that will stop him. Period. There's nothing that will stop him. Look at Prince Harry, right? Gave up his country and his royalty for a woman. If a man really wants you, he will have you. Like nothing will stop him. The wife, the marriage, whatever, all of those are excuses if he really wants you. Okay. So, but none of that matters because the reason that he showed up was to get you to heal what is holding you back from living life on your terms. So take him off of the pedestal, direct that energy inward, stop watching Twin Flame and Tarot, and learn how to do some shadow work. Learn how to heal childhood trauma. Learn how to heal your inner child. Whatever type of unhealed trauma you have, compartmentalize it, get a label on it. Maybe it's abandonment trauma. Maybe it's self-worth trauma, whatever it is, figure out how to heal that. And then all of a sudden, your unhealed trauma will be healed and you will no longer have trauma seeking validation from the twin. And then you're not going to care what he does because you don't have, then he kind of comes off of that pedestal and you see him for an actual person. Because when you're in the bubble phase, you just see white light and glowing and, but you take him off of the pedestal and you're like, oh, he believes that. Yeah, that doesn't correspond with my beliefs. Oh, that was kind of manipulative. That's a red flag. Oh, he thinks this about that. You start to see the actual person because you no longer have trauma that's seeking validation and approval from the twin. So, yeah, the silver lining in this is to take the lesson, which is life is too valuable to be put on hold. You are not meant to sit on the sidelines. You're meant to live life. Life is for living. It's not for waiting. period. Life is for living. It's not for waiting. That's just it. And I know no one feels like your twin flame, the intensity, no one feels. I agree. And you may never find any connection that is that intense, but intense does not equal longevity. Remember that. Intensity does not equal longevity. Okay. So oh my goodness. Do not, it breaks my heart to see people put their life on hold. I had someone leave a comment on my video the other day. I've patiently waited 30 years. 30 years. You might have killed you might as well have killed someone and served a prison sentence. Well, you did kill someone. You killed, your future self that may have been able to meet a soulmate. And then there's a family and marriage right there that you never had because you're waiting 30 years. Divine timing. Divine timing. The universe loves action. The universe is waiting on you to act. You act and the universe will back you up. Don't use divine timing as an excuse to sit back in your comfort zone. That's an excuse to sit back in your comfort zone. It's bypassing taking action and going after what you want. It's bypassing not facing the fear of getting outside of your comfort zone. That's what divine timing is. Don't fall for that. Take the freaking action and the universe will back you up as long as you're following your heart. Follow your heart, you take the action and the universe will back you up. So anyway, I'm done ranting on that, but yeah, no, that kind of stuff breaks my heart because life is so precious, man. Do not freaking wait and put your life on hold. This is unbelievable. I'm not beating up on you, Nicole. I just see this. I see this so much, and I have a lot of female clients, and they're like, my female counselors and therapists, they never say this. They never gave me that side. Yeah, you need a man's you need a man's perspective to tell you what a man is thinking. Like, hello. It's funny because I've had a couple of clients before they actually signed up. They're like, my trauma is based around masculine, men. And so I don't think I can work with you. I need a female therapist. And I'm like, isn't the only way to get over your fear is to go head first toward your fear? Like if you had arachnophobia and you went to a counselor, what's the first thing the counselor's going to do? Put you around spiders, Or if you have a fear of heights, the first thing they're going to do is take you to the top of a high building or, get you to do some skydiving. Right. So I'm like, yeah, if you have issues with guys, you need to hire a guy to tell you how guys think. That would be like me trying to say, oh, let me tell you how women think. I don't know, but I can tell you how men think. All right, I am done rambling here. Wow, the comments are flying off the charts here. I don't even know where I left off here. Do. This is why it's so important to know thyself. Yes, know thyself. And what is knowing thyself? Knowing your source self, knowing that your true essence, your spiritual DNA is perfect, whole, and complete. It's just your ego that makes you believe something else and programming. But as soon as you have a daily stillness practice, guys, telling you meditation, all the answers are within. Alchemist Frequency Healer. Hey, Alchemist Frequency Healer. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you. It's a fascinating journey. Radaxiana Oracle. Time is the most precious gift we have on this planet. What we do with it is our free will. Live in the moment and see the magic all around you. Magic is all around you, guys. You just got to be able to see it. And when she says live in the moment, what's another way of saying that? Don't have your mind off into the future, because your mind can be off into the future, fear mongering about some future scenario, which gives you anxiety. We don't want anxiety, right? The present moment allows you to live in the moment and be grateful. Diana Bayer. Hi, Diana Bayer. How are you? First live. Well, welcome. Like fam, give Diana Bayer a warm welcome. Let's see here. Spiritual Gangsta. What's up, Spiritual Gangsta? Are you also, what was it? Johnny True Love? Is that the same person? Dave dropping truth gems. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Sorry, my chair gets a little weird. Love keeping it real. You've got to, because if you don't keep it real, people hang their hopes on, hyperbole and sensationalized cult ideas, and then they never heal. We're here to empower. We're here to be sovereign. Yes, yes, yes. This video needs to get 1 million views. From your mouth to God's ears, Carmen. Spiritual Gangsta says, in other words, take accountability, stop living the fantasy. Yeah. Yeah, and as soon as you change your identity, because a lot of people have this, when they're on this twin flame journey and identifying as a twin flame, they have this, I'm on this noble journey of love. And then they end up overlooking all of the red flags that they would never allow anyone else to get away with. But because they've placed a twin flame label on this other person, oh, yeah, you can do this, you can do that. I don't care. You're my twin. We're just on this noble journey of love and blah, blah, blah. No, your self worth, your divinity, your mental health, your peace and happiness comes first before everything and anything, twin flame included. Oh, let's see here. All right, the comments are jumping off. Let me not get too far behind. What is our next thing here? Yeah, can you guys hear the meow there? This is Heyoka's thing here. Hi, David. I'm struggling with the differentiation of my intuition, my instinct, and my imagination. Any SpongeBob fans out there? Imagination. Can you please try to give me some clarity? Jody Jenkins. Well, instincts and intuition are the same thing because they're both a gut feeling or a torso feeling, a heart feeling. So instinct and intuition are going to be the same thing. So this torso area, the heart or the gut or the solar plexus, is where a lot of people feel their intuition. That's the radio of the divine. So that could be your higher self, your spirit guides, source consciousness. If you work with archangels, whatever your team in the unseen, that's their radio of communication. Why? Because it's not here. What's the energetic house of the mind? Ego. So the ego has a hard time interpreting the esoteric. So I always like to say, first thought, instinct or intuition. Second thought, ego. So usually when you second guess yourself, that's the ego trying to interpret the initial feeling that is coming through. So for you people out there that are trying to work on your psychic abilities or your mediumship skills or your divination skills, working with tarot or whatever, the first thing that comes through is typically from the other side. The second thought is you second guessing yourself. That's ego. And imagination. Well, imagination is not a bad thing. Imagination is the kind of the creative spark of everything, because before anything can exist, a thought has to precede it, which is where imagination comes in. But I think what you're trying to say is, how do I know what is intuition and is not just me making up stuff? I think that's what you're trying to say. And if that is, just kind of confirm in the comments there. But how do you know when you're making it up and when it's intuition? Because you feel it in here. You can ask your heart. So what has come through? Sink into the feeling of the heart on that subject. The heart's language is feeling. The ego's language is words. So you can just kind of intuit that feeling. What does the heart say about what has just come through? Does it resonate? Does it not resonate? And then you might start getting some downloads. The ego, you're going to know if you're just making it up, because it's just going to have all of the familiar symptoms, for lack of a better word, of the ego, which is usually going to be centered around some type of fear, lack, scarcity, competition. What are people going to think? You know, that is typically in alignment with it's coming from ego. So you want to sink into your heart space. And you guys have heard me give this technique before. When you sink into your heart space, you just want to start with some deep breaths. Close your eyes, take some deep breaths, and put your conscious awareness in your heart. And you can even kind of rub your hand in the circular motion, because that tactile feeling keeps your conscious awareness here, right? And when you're here, you're not here. When you're here, you're not out into the future fear mongering, causing anxiety, right? So you sink into the heart and ask, what does my heart say about this? What do I feel? What is my don't say what does the heart say, because that's going to be words, and then the ego might jump in. What does my heart feel, right? And so and that's another thing. A lot of people ask me, how do you trust your intuition? Well, you act on it. That's how you trust your intuition. And the more that you act on your intuition, that programs you to trust yourself. And the more you trust yourself, because you have physical evidence that trusting yourself seems to work out, you're going to stop second guessing, or sometimes even self-sabotaging. The self-sabotaging can go down quite a bit if you start to act on that intuition and you're trusting yourself. So you're going to kind of know what is an inspired, heartfelt intuition, because there's not going to be a fear frequency around it. And fear, as I say, can be masquerading as scarcity, lack, competition, worried about what others might think, scared to get out of your comfort zone, that type of stuff. So that's how you're going to be able to kind of discern from the two. Hey, okay, let me know if that helped. Sadie Flint. Hey, Sadie Flint. Don't think I've seen you before. Welcome, Sadie Flint. Everyone gives Sadie a light fam warm welcome. I am a spiritual being. I am a conscious creator. Absolutely. Positively. Absolutely. Thanks for the wisdom. You're very welcome. David, yes, very enlightening. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. What else we got? Let's see here. My biggest struggle has been learning to let go, create, and maintain healthy boundaries, and putting myself first without jumping the gun and feeling like I'm being selfish. Holly Bartholomew. Letting go, creating healthy boundaries, and not feeling like you're being selfish. Okay, so those three variables, and each one is a subject in and of itself: letting go, how to set boundaries, how to put yourself first. But all of those fall under the category of self-worth. These things become very natural when your self-worth is at a healthy level. When you are wanting to let something go, you're typically wanting to let it go because you intuitively know that it's not for your highest good. Maybe you've outgrown it, but letting go means a piece of our identity is dying with whatever we're letting go. Now, remember, the ego is in charge of survival of the perceived identity. So maybe your perceived identity is with this person that you want to let go, or a career that you spent, 20 years of your life, but now, you no longer resonate with that career, that identity, your ego views that as a threat to the survival of that identity. And so it becomes hard to let go because there's anxiety, there's survival, fight or flight surrounding that portion of your identity dying. But so basically what that is there's grieving or there's bereavement for that part of your identity, and that doesn't feel comfortable. But what we've got to remember is that your perceived identity is energy. It's a concept. It's like I was saying earlier, it can change at the drop of a dime or drop of a hat. Is that drop of a dime or drop of a hat? One of the two. You can drop something and your energy will change. But because it's energy, it's light, if there's a piece of that identity that is no longer there, instead of grieving over that identity, you change that perspective and say, I've outgrown that identity, but here's my new, bigger and better identity. Here's this new upgraded version. And so see how that's a perspective change? It's a perspective shift from a part of me is dying from what I'm letting go to I've now made space for the bigger aspect of me, the higher consciousness aspect of me, the more evolved aspect for me, or my greatest version. So it's a paradigm shift as far as letting go. But again, we go back to self-worth because you got to believe you're worthy of letting go of what no longer serves. It's not a threat to survival. Same thing with creating and maintaining healthy boundaries. When your self-worth is at a healthy level in alignment with your divinity, setting boundaries and defending those boundaries come naturally. It's a natural thing because when something is out of alignment with your self-perceived identity, and I put my hand here because the heart is the energetic house of the subconscious. Your subconscious identity is what connects to the quantum field and determines what your vibrational match to experience. So if your subconscious identity is perfect, whole, and complete, meaning you've done the healing to heal through the lie that you're not those three things, and you are those three things because you're source having a physical experience. Once your identity becomes perfect, whole, and complete, your subconscious identity setting and creating boundaries becomes effortless. It's a natural thing because your dominant frequency now is high on self-worth. And so if someone is not seeing that, you could care less about getting them out of your life because you don't have trauma that is seeking validation to get self-worth back. See what I'm saying? Once you heal that trauma that gets its self-worth from getting validation, you don't care about setting boundaries because you're validating yourself. As far as putting yourself first without jumping the gun and feeling like you're being selfish, well, that's gonna be pretty easy. Selfish is going to be taking from someone else. So, you know, just read the energy around the action that you're taking. Is your ego saying, hey, do this first, or someone else is going to do it before you, or take this, or you're not going to get yours, or get it before they get it? If there's a competitive, scarce, lack type of energy around it, then you're probably being selfish. So that's a competitive energy. It's competitive driven. But if there's inspired action, where you're just honoring your divinity and your self-worth, and you understand that everything is for the greatest good of all, you're not trying to get anything, then that's going to be kind of a heart-led energy. And then you're not being selfish because you're not on the competitive plane. When you're on the abundance plane, there's more than enough for everyone. When you take away from abundance, abundance is left, right? And so when that becomes your identity, you are not driven by a competitive type of action, which would be, being selfish. But also this worried that I'm not jumping the gun and being selfish. That's worrying about what other people think. And it's also being self-conscious about yourself. You're judging yourself. Am I being selfish? You don't need to judge yourself. As long as you're following your heart, there's nothing to judge. As long as you're not taking from someone else, there's nothing to judge. When you're following your heart is the energetic house of love. Love is the dominant frequency of source. When you're following your heart, you're stepping in your source shoes, right? And so it's not an egoic driven action. So you don't have to worry about, being selfish. Holly, if you are in the comments, let me know if that answered your question. We've got 7 minutes. Okay, so let me open it up to the comments here. Naomi says we all have our own path. Yes, we most certainly do. Any questions, Light Fam? I can probably find some if I go back through these comments. Oh, by the way, would you guys be interested in having this in audio form as a podcast? So you can kind of go about your day and listen. YouTube just rolled out a thing where you can turn videos into podcasts. So if you guys want me to turn the lives into podcasts, you can just listen to them. As you go about your day, let me know. You guys want these lives as a podcast? Esmeralda, hey there, Esmeralda. Don't think I've seen you before. Welcome to the live stream. Random information. I guess you guys are having a conversation amongst yourselves. Oh, okay. All right. So Redaxiana says yes to the live stream. Coley Bryce says yes. To the podcast. Coley Bryce says yes to the podcast. Hey, Pamela Bay, how are you, my friend? Pamela says yes to the podcast. Katrina says podcast would be awesome. Crystal says yes to the podcast. All right. Podcast it is. The Light Fam has spoken. Let's see. Lorraine Chambers. Hey, Lorraine Chambers. I remember you from last week. Welcome to the stream again. That's a lot to read. Let me put that on the big screen here. Lorraine Chambers says, should you force yourself to meditate? No, force is not. We don't need to force anything in spirituality. I find it's all about the doing and not just being. Are we all been guided away, and our higher power will guide us in life? Are we all being guided away, and our higher power will be? I find it's all about the doing and not just being. Well, there's balance. So you don't want to just be someone that's constantly, stuck in the ethereals and, meditating. But remember, the doing is also part of spirituality. So you've got to look at the doing, the 3D, as a part of your spiritual journey. There's no forcing of anything. Force is resistance, and resistance is not the way of the universe, because force and resistance typically means that things get stagnant and closed off. The universe likes to expand. So yeah, you never have to force yourself. Are we being guided away? I don't think there's anything. It's So that would be a belief system. If you believe you're being guided away, then that's what's going to show up as true for you. Our higher power will guide us. Again, that's something that will be true for you if that's your belief. But if you have a daily stillness practice, which doesn't have to be forced or out of balance in any way, you're just going to see the signs. You're just living. You see the signs that are in alignment with the path that you're going, and your spirit guides are communicating with you. You're getting the insights that you need, and you're just enjoying the moment. Life is really about enjoying the moment. Let's see here. Naomi says that she works in silence in a garden. Yeah, that's very therapeutic. Ironing whatever I do in silence, and I find my meditating. Yeah, there you go. I also meditate through action. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's walking meditation. You can meditate out in nature. I love being out in nature. You just, are so connected with life energy, life force energy, which is source. You're connected to Mother Gaia. There's Naomi. Even easy to meditate if you live near nature. Yeah, it's easier. But again, the mind is so powerful. You can be in a very busy city and you can close your eyes and you can just envision a green forest. And then you can imagine, what does wet soil and mud smell like, and then and what do the birds and the trickling brook sound like? So you start to engage your five senses to immerse you into this mindscape of nature, even if you're in a busy city. you know Taste, what would a honeysuckle taste like, or some wild raspberries, right? Smell, hearing, sight. Incorporate your five senses to immerse you into that nature mindscape, and you'll go there. Da, 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 da. Let's see what we got. Oh, we're at the hour mark. Let me try to grab one or two here. What is this? Hey, Ambika, how can I understand and pursue my spiritual gift after experiencing trauma from it? Ah, great question. It's two sides of the same coin. So your healed trauma is in alignment with your life purpose, is in alignment with the gifts and abilities that you chose to incarnate with. It's the unhealed trauma that you have to heal through to heal the fear from expressing those gifts. Fear is the barrier to expression. Unhealed trauma is in alignment with fear. So you'll quickly notice that once you heal that healed trauma is in alignment with the reason that you decided to incarnate. So if you look at that, when you say experiencing trauma, that's your catalyst to help you express those gifts as soon as you heal that specific trauma, which you chose to experience before you decided to incarnate. And this always ticks a lot of people off. Why would I ever choose to experience that? Well, that's what the ego says, because the ego doesn't like being uncomfortable. But before you incarnated, before you had an ego, you chose what you would experience at what specific point on your timeline to wake you up, to get you on that path, which is the reason that you ultimately decided to incarnate. And the healing of that trauma gets you on that path. So your healed trauma is always in alignment with the reason you decided to incarnate. I hope that helps. What do we got here? 0210. I don't think I've seen you before, my friend. Welcome. Let's see here. What is he saying? I like the Spider-Man avatar there. Hello, David and Light Fam. Do you think the universe would present you with multiple higher paths for you choose one ultimately? The universe is infinite, and all of your paths exist simultaneously as quantum potential. So whatever you become aware of, it becomes aware of you. And when you become a vibrational match to that particular path, you get on that particular path. So quantum physics kind of says that all of that potential exists as a cloud form. And then once you're aware of it, that very specific parallel life that you're very much aware of, it starts to condense into solid form. And then you've got to get on the same frequency as that parallel life by identifying as that version of yourself living that life that you want to live. This is also called quantum timeline jumping, if you want to research that. Let me know if that helped, my friend. All right. Meditating during a bath. Hey there, SBD Dr. JS. Welcome, my friend. I don't think I've seen you before. Lorene says, thank you so much. I love your lives. Thank you, Lorene. I appreciate you. Okay. Ambika says, oh, wow, David, that's powerful. Thank you. Had not seen it that way before. Namaste. Amazing feeling. Amazing. Thank you. All right, guys. Anything else before we put another Lightways live stream in the books? We got a light. Let me try to. Oh, this way, huh? There we go. I guess that light's been shining in your all's face this whole time. Let's see here. Let me answer this one here. Hey, can you talk a little about dream state and how it's parallel to wake state? There's a lot to suggest that the dream state is when your conscious is able to enter the astrals. And it's also when your spirit guides are able to communicate with you because the ego is sleeping. The ego is not there playing bouncer trying to interpret what the messages and guidance coming through is. So your guides love to speak with you in the dream state. And the dream state is awesome. It can be a jumping off point for a lucid dream or even an astral projection. I think it is. Yeah, it's definitely parallel to the waking state because you can have premonitions. You can have dreams about what hasn't happened in the waking state yet. So they're definitely connected. The science behind it, I'm not sure, but yeah, they're definitely connected. What's going on here? Let's see. Hi, can you explain going to 5D? 5D is it's a consciousness. It's unity consciousness, or what some call Christ consciousness. So it's seeing everyone as a fractal of source and a fractal of you, identifying you're also identifying as a fractal of source, and you're seeing your fellow human as a fractal of source and a reflection of yourself. So it's unity consciousness. It's stepping off of the 3D competitive plane of lack, scarcity, and competition. You know, the matrix, I got to get mine before you get yours, that whole type of mentality. And it's just stepping into unity consciousness, or what some call Christ consciousness. It's not a different planet. I know there's a lot of channels out there that say, you know, this big solar flare is going to hit, and the people that are 5D are going to be transported off to some different planet called the 5D Earth, and the 3D people are going to stay behind and, you know, burn or whatever. What does that sound like to you guys? If you think about it, what does that sound like? Religious programming. That's just the rapture. That's so a lot of these false light channels like to take fear-based religious concepts and rewrap it as new age so that it's more palatable to people that consider themselves spiritual but not religious. All that is the rapture rewrapped. The rapture is, oh, the holy people are going to be taken up and the wicked are going to burn in hell. This is duality because source is also having a physical experience as those people that you believe are wicked. Source is also having a physical experience as those people that are 3D. The ego loves these special titles. Oh, I'm chosen. I'm a chosen one. I'm a 144. Okay. Source is also the people that are not 144. Source is also the people that are not chosen. You are source. There is no title that could be higher than that. You don't need a special title to make your ego feel good. You don't need to be chosen. You don't need to be unchosen, or chosen or 144 or 155, whatever the dumb number is. You don't need these annoying titles. That's ego. Okay. You are source. There is no title that can be higher. Okay. And that goes against unity consciousness. How can you be, talking about Christ consciousness and unity consciousness when you're throwing these people over here under the bus because they're not as spiritual as you? That's spiritual ego. You don't need to be in a special group. Stop practicing duality and division because all it is religion. It's just rewrapped as spiritual for people that don't consider themselves religious but consider themselves spiritual. No, it's religion. Oh, these are sinners, these are the good people over here. Stop dividing. That's duality. Okay. It's false light. Real spirituality is unity. That's it. You can go to some of these really big, like actual spiritual channels. Like take a look at like Eckhart Tolle, Michael Beckwith, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, Abraham Hicks. None of them talk about fear. None of them talk about a special group and then this other group is going to get left behind. None of them talk about fear. None of them. Why? Because fear is the opposite frequency of the dominant frequency of source. It's impossible to be spiritual if you're espousing fear because you're in the exact polar opposite frequency of source, which is love. So let's all stop with the false light nonsense, good versus evil. That's human concepts. Humans made up this good, evil crap to fear other humans into good behavior and obedience. It's a way to control fear-based masses, and it's very see-through. Anyway, I'll get off of my rant. It's just that these channels are so freaking huge and they have such a platform, which means that they're just indoctrinating masses of people into fear. We don't need more of that. The news is doing a good enough job of that as it is, right? The news is bought and paid for. That narrative is bought and paid for by BlackRock and the Vanguard Group. And those, people are indoctrinated. Those programmable automatons are programmed with fear according to plan. Don't throw yourself in the same boat by not seeing the same thing happening with these false light channels. Everything you want and need is within because you are source. Learn to go within. All of the answers are there. When you go within and sink into your heart, you will see there is no fight between dark and light. Yin and yang is a thing. Source is also the darkness. It's just a different frequency. And then you live in harmony. You don't live in fear. When you're living in fear, understand that you are as far away from your source self as you can possibly be. All right. We are 11 minutes over. I love you guys. I will see everyone in the next video. Light, love, and abundance. Do the Macarena. I love you guys. Let's do it again next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Click the description to get into my email list by getting the free guided meditation on abundance. I see somebody there that put something about money. If you're having issues with money, guided meditation on abundance, you'll get into my email list, and then I'll send out that weekly question: what's your biggest struggle on your spiritual awakening journey? And then I will get your question featured on a live stream, and we will be email besties. All right, guys, I love all of you. See you next week. Namaste.